another edition of In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. That's me, James Lott Jr. And we're going to go in between the pages of a great book that I'm already going to say it out loud. I want a series. I want a series. I don't care if it's limited series or a regular show series on streaming or somewhere. I'm saying it out loud. The book's called Sins of Survivors. If you're watching, that's the book, me holding it. But if you go to my page, I have the book on my page, so you guys are listening. I love my podcast listeners too. But I have a person who's heavily involved in this, and I guess you guys co-wrote this together.
So yeah, Blair presents the book. He sort of acts like when he describes it as like if you're looking at the book publishing world as if it's the movie world, he's the executive producer, right? All things flow through him. So he's got sort of an unofficial imprint at HarperCollins, and this is how that came about. So I wrote the book, Blair presented it, and that's where we're at. Yeah.
So the guy you're listening to right now, he's a screenwriter and director who's 2013. What kind of wording is that? 2013 breakout indie feature Life Tracker, screened at dozens of film festivals and sci-fi conventions before streaming on demand. Remember on demand, folks? I remember that. Right? On demand was great. I mean, when you got on demand, that was one of the things you wanted to get to, right? Because you were on cable. And then in 2017, he has the Drama Club, which premiered at the Grauman Chinese Theater, and then it's on Tubi. So you can go on Tubi and watch that if you want to. His most recent project is called Viral. It's written, produced by him, and it's directed by and stars Blair Underwood. You know that guy. He's on a few things. But we're here talking. I mean, I already been talking to him off camera. He's my new friend, Joe McClean. Joe McClean, how you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Here we go. Good time. The book is called Sins of Survivors. A Carter Brothers novel. And it's actually book one, folks, because I didn't know that because I got an advanced copy of the book because I'm special. And I read it, and at the end, I'm like, I want more. So thank you, Joe. We're getting more. So congratulations.
Yeah, next summer, book two.
Oh, good. Next summer. Okay, I'm ready. You have to come back next summer, too. You have to come back next summer.
Absolutely.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to ask you, because the Black experience, it's very varied.
Sure.
And which I love. And so I knew nothing about the whole the Black migration to Detroit, Black Bottom, Paradise. I didn't know any of that stuff. I know Detroit pizza, and I love it. In LA, I'm going to go shout out. In LA, there's a place called D-Town Pizzeria. I know the owner. He has two locations, Topanga Canyon Mall and West Hollywood.
All right.
Sky, and I'm telling you, Joe, the pizza is delicious.
I'm going to check that out for sure. That's right in my hood.
Yeah, Santa Monica Boulevard. So right before you get to La Cienega. I'm gonna give him all the shit. He's a great guy. The pizza, I like the pepperoni. It's just Detroit pizza is the bomb.
Amazing. Yeah, I love it.
So, by the way, so back to the real story. I didn't really realize some of the other stories that happened in the North. My family's from the South and the East. I know those stories.
Yeah.
So, folks, this book gives you another tale. Even though it's fiction, it's historical fiction.
Yeah.
So tell us about that part of the book. That this is because right now it's number 36. I looked on the Amazon charts. Number 36 of Black and African historical fiction charts.
Yeah. And listen, I hate to give it a qualifier, but that's all Black historical fiction. If you do just new releases, we're number 1 or number 2 right now. So it feels pretty good. No, listen, I think this is, I actually love that you said that you were unfamiliar with that. I mean, listen, it's a tragedy that you're unfamiliar with that neighborhood.
Right.
But that's sort of the reason for the book, right? And I think the reason, one of the main things that got Blair and I working on this project together was when we met on a fully separate, different project. He had read a sample that I wrote. I had been hired to write a teleplay about Black Bottom Detroit. All right. Wow. And he pulled me aside and very blunt, was just like, listen, he had done a play called Paradise Blue, which deals with the same place. And he had never heard of Black Bottom before he did the play. So he said, listen, I don't know a lot of Black folks that know anything about this. So why does some white boy in Hollywood know anything about it?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Very blunt. And the truth is that I was hired to write it. I got hired to write a teleplay, and then I dove in. And where I come in is like, I'm a historian. I'm madly in love with history. And I believe so strongly that if we don't know our history, we're going to repeat that history, and we don't want to do that. But Black Bottom, if talking about the history of this town is insane to me, because it's kind of the town that lost the fight. If it was still around, it would easily rival South Side of Chicago, Harlem, Detroit, Atlanta. It would rival those cities because it was doing some incredible things. In fact, it was the first, as far as I know, first anywhere in the country where, like, for example, if you go to the Cotton Club in New York City at the same time as that my book takes place in 1937, you would go to see black music, and before 2 a.m., they would all look like me. And after 2 a.m., the audience would all look like you, because you were not allowed to sit in the same audience together. But in Detroit, they were. Or in Black Bottom, they were. So it wasn't gigantic. There was a couple of bigger theaters, but really a lot of little jazz clubs, right? But they were getting all the greatest jazz musicians of the day, the Fats Wallers and the Billie Holidays and the Ella Fitzgeralds. They were coming there because Black Bottom was giving them an experience that no place else in America could give them. And because of that, all this incredible music is just sort of in the roots in Detroit. Fast forward just a decade or two, and we got Motown, right? Like, yeah. Detroit has shaped us. In fact, you look at Smokey Robinson and the Supremes. They're from Black Bottom. Like, they grew up in the projects in Black Bottom, Detroit.
They were in the project. That's right. They said they were in the Brewster projects. Also, they were in the project. Yeah.
Wow. So I just love it. And then, of course, they knock it down. They knock this whole neighborhood down, for urban renewal, right? In the guise of forward progress, which we all know is shit. Yes. But they knocked it down to build the national freeway system. So it's right now, today, it's Highway 375 running right through Detroit.
Can I say, I'm learning. I'm like the book's good. I want to talk about all that. I'm like, I'm all to that. I like that stuff. Because here's the thing, because we know we're not making there's no propaganda. We know this happens in history. People erase history. They don't talk about it. So it gets kind of put somewhere until someone who remembers something, it comes out. I have a great grandfather who was a wrestler. But because he was Muslim in the 1900s, he was big overseas. They wrote him out of history books. He just recently got redeemed. He's back in the, he's back in the, it was a really emotional thing for us a couple of years ago. But I just know that, so this stuff must have been just swept under the rug, right? So when you were doing your research, how did you find all this stuff? And how did you find it?
I mean, it's there. It's like, it's not hiding, right? But people are just, they're busy. People have their lives. There's so many, look at all the different kinds of media just hitting us from every direction these days, So once I knew this place existed, you go to Detroit, Detroiters know about it, right? And they're passionate about it. In fact, there is an entire resurgence now. That freeway that knocked Black Bottom down, they are going to fill it in, and they are going to do something different now. And now the people that live in that area of Detroit are like making sure the whole city knows we need to like repurpose this land for its original use, which was for the black community of Detroit, But listen, I got to tell you, I love the history. I could talk about the history all day long, but this is not a history book, right? This is not a textbook. So I believe very much in a sort of Mary Poppins style of storytelling, which is a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. In this case, the medicine is very much what we're talking about now. It's the destruction of Black Bottom and the brilliance that came out of that community and the tragedy that overtook it. But the sugar that makes that pill go down is crime family and murder and lust and forbidden love and some really, really fun stuff to whet your appetite in the novel.
Yeah, we're talking about that. I want to get people, because I know my fan base likes to hear this kind of stuff. They'll be like, oh my God, so they will come to your book because they'll be like, oh, but he's right. It's historical fiction. It's a whole separate genre. Like, it's not that he's telling you it's not a textbook, not at all.
Right.
It's a great drama. You have these two brothers, Jasper and Ben. There's a whole thing going on there. And it's not just crime. It's about family.
Yes.
It's about crime and family. It's about choices.
Yeah.
It's about navigating life during that time period from the 1900s to the 1930s. So like, there's a lot going. There's a lot going on in your book.
You know,
It's, it's,
when Blair talks about it, he says that in the same way that, you know, The Godfather is certainly about the mob, it's certainly about being Italian, it's certainly about the food, but really what it's about is family. The Godfather is about family, and Sins of Survivors is the same way, the Carter family.
it is. And I said, as I almost give away the ending, I was just like, I mean, everybody's kind of driving on. I'm like, well, no, I want to know this and the name of this. And so I guess we'll get that in book two. So I like, but because the book ends with family, it goes back to the core couples, I guess you could say, and family. It goes back to family. So I thought it didn't end. I thought it might end in some real tragic notes.
I mean, I think there's some tragedy there.
The book, you could literally get that conclusion, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Reading the book, I was like, "Ooh, is it gonna be really bad?" Like, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be really bad." I'm like, "Oh my, am I gonna be like screaming or hollering or crying or whatever at the end?" Folks have to read the book. I mean, you're seriously gonna go through the ups and downs in this book.
Yeah. You know, and I'm really excited. I'll give you a little hint as to like what's coming with the second book. But the idea here is, and you know, and I can tell your audience that the book is written in 3 parts, and the first chapter of each part tells the story about how these 2 brothers, Ben and Jasper Carter, came from tragedy in the South, outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and how they slowly migrated with the Great Migration up to Detroit to find, you know, a better life for themselves. The second book does something similar, but the opposite. So it's also written in three parts, but the first chapter of each part in the second book goes into the future and shows you how their ancestors, like what became of them after what we know happened to the Carter brothers in these books. Okay, so it's really fun.
They're fun. Okay, creating these characters. So we're going between the pages. We're creating these characters. How'd you begin to create Jasper and Ben? Like you knew it was be brothers. Like you knew it was be brothers. It could be cousins. It could have been father son.
Yeah. Like, so you've got to go with, you know, everything that you write as a writer, everything that you create has to have some piece of truth, and you steal from your own life, right? So something that I am very familiar with is that I have a brother. I come from a family of 2, and parents. You're a parent. I'm a parent. Something that we understand is that there's this. Sometimes 2 kids, or many kids, any children can grow up in the same household with the same parents, the same everything, and become entirely different human beings, right? And me and my brother are very much that. We went in such different paths, not too dissimilar from what happens to Ben and Jasper. And so Jasper has the reason his worldview is so different. He's the older of these 2 brothers, is because he's sort of fated with taking care of his younger siblings. He's put into this fatherly position where it's his responsibility to make sure they're fed and they got clothes on their back. He even puts his younger brother Ben through college, right? Well, just that alone, Ben now has an education that his older brother doesn't have, hasn't had to work with his hands nearly as hard as his older brother had, has not had to suffer in that way. There are other things. Listen, we all have the things that we're dealing with. But when faced with life in 1930s Detroit, they have 2 different ways of tackling the problems. One is books and ballots, and the other one is booze and bullets. And it's an incredible journey these two are on.
Yeah, that's exactly, you get that exactly. You get the push and pull. And I have a brother, so I know how to. We're very different. I mean, we grew up the same house. I mean, we're 3 years apart. You're right about that. It's especially if you're closer in age, we really got the parents at the same time. Because there's ones that if you're older and it's different. But your parents, you're around the same age. You have the parents that were the same age.
Right.
It's weird how that happens. You're like, how did that happen? Like,
that whole argument about nature versus nurture, right? Like, there's something's there, something's happening, you know?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question, and this is fiction, of course.
Yeah.
Which brother are you?
So I'm most certainly Ben, and we've been talking about a lot of the pros and cons of this. So Ben is the one that gets put through college and is trying to take care of things through the system. Blair answers the question differently. He always says that he's Jasper.
Oh,
I recognize is actually I'm Ben, but I wish I was Jasper
okay.
because
Okay.
there's only so much you can do by following the rules and staying in your lane.
Hey,
At some point, you have to burn it down and demand what you're owed, and that's what Jasper does in this book. And I think together they actually make a good team, even though they keep butting heads, right? But yeah, I wish I'll tell you a really funny story. Like we were just in Detroit promoting the book, and they were doing the Detroit Grand Prix, and our hotel was right smack in the middle of the racetrack. So it became hard to get to and from the hotel. So Blair and I were driving, and we see this guy. We're like, we don't know, where do we turn? And we see a guy coming up to us, and we're like, is this a security guard? What are they going to tell us to do? And I roll down the window, and the guy goes, oh, are you guys here for the Grand Prix? And Blair leans over and goes, yeah, we're here with the Grand Prix. He goes, right this way, sir. And he just let us into wherever we needed to go. And immediately I was like, oh, that's how Jasper handles this situation. Right. And Ben would have said, oh, no, I'm sorry. We're just trying to get to the hotel. He would have told us to turn around, go through this, do that. But no, Jasper won out in that scenario.
I think I'm Jasper. Oh my God, I just realized. I think I'm Jasper too. I think I am. Oh, I always find ways to get into play. I know I think I am. Oh my goodness. They just said that. But the thing is, reading the book, I kept feeling bad when the brothers butted heads. I kept thinking, you both went through the same trauma. And so you saw your dad. I guess should we give that away? Well,
Yeah, you can give that away. That's fine. Yeah.
He's lynched.
Yeah.
And this is like back in the 1900s, and they see it.
Yeah. And because of something that the children do.
Right.
Right. So the children, I don't mind giving this away. It's the first, yeah, right. So one of the kids, the younger brother, Ben, drinks from a white water fountain. And some white people see it, and their father gets in the way and reprimands his children on site, tries to do right. But ultimately the racist South and these racist people couldn't let it stand. And so he's lynched, and because of this, the older brother becomes the father figure. He has to take that mantle up on himself. But yeah, where were we going with that? What was
I kept saying that they had the same trauma.
Oh yeah,
I hate it when they fought.
Right, and I think there's the greatest conflict for me as a writer. Things what I enjoy the most is when the good guy, for lack of better terms, right? The good guy and the bad guy are actually after the same goal, right? So Ben and Jasper want the same thing.
Right. That's what I kept saying. I kept saying.
But Ben feels very much like they've built this like entire they've built a dynasty for themselves. They own all these businesses in Black Bottom, and he believes so much, like, look at what we've gained for ourselves. We can now use the power that we have in this, the influence that we have in this community, and we can bring everybody up with us. But Jasper goes, right, and if we fail, if we attempt to do that and we fail, then our family, the nuclear family, our wives and our children, they will lose everything, and he's not willing to give that up.
And neither are kind of wrong.
No, neither are wrong.
Right. That's the thing about when I was reading the story. I'm like, well, the way Jasper feels, I feel it.
Right.
And the activist part of me feels it. That's what when I read his parts, that made me feel more of my activist days when I was younger. And then you got Ben going, well, no, we can do it this way and we're fine. We have the papers, we have the stuff, we can do this. And you want to believe.
Right.
You want to believe because you're now in a better position. Things are better.
Right.
Should I cover my face?
Right.
That's like real life these days. No.
Yeah.
It's we think we've made these advances.
Right.
That's for anybody out there. We think we make these advances. You think things are then now it's better. If I just do this, it'll fall in line.
Right.
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Correct. You're right.
So with Jasper's side, I understand going, well, no, because you'll try it that way. Maybe it'll work. But if it doesn't, we still lose.
Right. Right. Correct.
If we try and don't make it, we still lose. And just like, I don't want to lose.
I don't want to lose. Yeah. He's fought too hard. And you can understand that because of the lot he had to face in his life, right? It was just different what he had to go through.
Yeah.
So,
you can almost say also they're just two sides of the same coin. or two sides of the same person, basically. It's just one went this way, one went that way, but they're basically.
Yeah, listen, I think a lot about these conflicts. So like I can say on one, let's like reach out into the sci-fi world, right? Something that's certainly big in our collective societal conscious is the X-Men.
Or
And
X-Men.
Magneto and Professor X both want the same thing. They want equality for mutants. But one decides the way to get it is basically kill all the non-mutants, and the other one says, well, we're going to raise up the mutants and make them prove that we're worthy. I think now take it from sci-fi all the way into the real world. I think we could make a similar comparison to Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Yes.
These are two people who want the exact same thing. They want fairness. They want equality. They want equity. They had two different ways of going about getting it.
Yeah. Very true.
And neither one of them is wrong.
Right. No, right. Actually, some folks didn't realize King started getting a little more, what's the word I was going to use? That towards the end, people started not liking him because he was getting a little more conservative.
Right. Yeah.
Towards the end. It's kind of like, so I'm saying that, again, nobody was wrong, but they both wanted the same end result, which is equality for all people. I mean, for Black people especially, but for all people.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, I know that's why I like this book, because in fact, I love seeing families, whether it's cousins, brothers, father, son, mother, daughter, whatever, have these where the struggles from within.
Right.
Yes, there's external stuff that's going on around them, but it all begins and ends with you, right? It begins and ends with you. So it's like the struggles, like, okay, we live in this time period in this area of the world. How do we navigate this?
Right.
Once we navigate it, how do we do it? That's the story.
And part of that family narrative in this book, and it'll be through both books, is this idea of sort of passing the baton on to the next generation, right? So, like a big part of this book is how their children are sort of coming of age and what they're learning from their parents, how they're taking over the businesses. I know that I'm like this now. I've got a 13-year-old son, but in one breath, I would give him anything, right? I would do anything. I would die for him. On the other hand, I'm not done yet. I'm not ready to be finished. I still have more to give. I want to keep living, right? So when I think that these brothers are dealing with the same thing, they see that in one sort of breath, they are on the way out, right? They are the older generation, and they've got to give to they've got to like let the younger generation take the reins. And that's hard. It's hard to let go. It's hard to let go, even though I care immensely for that younger generation.
And also, I want to bring in the male aspect. We're men. We have our egos. We want legacy. I think most of us men want to have a legacy left behind. We're still here. Like, I'm not. Don't try to put me in bed. Don't put me under the ground already. I got stuff to prove. I still got stuff to show.
And there is a storyline in the book where the oldest of the next generation is Ben's son Charles, and he's sort of running he runs their nightclub, and the second oldest is Jasper's daughter named Sharon. And it's painted in such a way that the reader, anybody who reads the book, is going to understand that Sharon is the one that is like grinding. She's the one that is doing the work. She is making it. She is getting it done. And Charles, every time he takes a step, it's in a pile of shit. So, but even with that, everyone knows that she still sort of she doesn't get all the credit she deserves, right? She's like saving the family time and time again, like with what she's doing. And Charles is just rewarded because he's a man, and that's it, right? Yeah. That's it. And so it is the gender gap there is intentional in this book.
I read that. Oh yeah, I got that in there. But I just know for us men, we have our own egos. We have our own egos that either get in the way, or keep us going. And sometimes ego's good. Sometimes it keeps you going. Because I'm telling you, folks, as you get a little older, you do start feeling mortality. You start feeling what's going on. Like, what am I leaving behind? But for some of us, we still have a lot we want to give. And I was like, don't write off old folks just yet. Right. Someone's got some stuff to go. And I had a grandfather who was into his 80s and was still doing stuff.
I do think you make a very good point. If there was no ego at all, nothing would ever get done, right? Literally. And you can say the same thing about a lot of things that are maybe intrinsically thought of as negative, like vanity. if there was no vanity, we would all be walking around like slobs all day long, right? We wouldn't care about how we dressed, how we looked, how we smelled. It wouldn't matter, right? But having a little bit of pride in yourself, a little bit of vanity, a little bit of ego, really, really drives the humanity.
Well, come on, Joe. We're both in this business. I've been in business for 20 years. I've been since 2007, like officially in the business. And you have to have some of those traits, overconfidence, even naivete sometimes. It all can
Yes.
for you. That's the
Right.
point. It's like we know these are things that kind of they're kind of bad, whatever. Be a little pushy, aggressive, and some of that stuff really does get you in the door or get you opportunities
Yeah.
sometimes. And they're all considered bad traits. I'm not saying you should overload yourself with these traits, but I'm just saying that sometimes, being a bitch sometimes does work.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a survival of the fittest sort of aspect to that.
Yes, in certain industries, not every industry, but in certain industries. I mean, you just kind of have to have some kind of, you even if it's just a little delusion sometimes in this business, it goes a long way.
Oh yeah, I think I owe a lot to naivety because I feel like in that sort of analogy of if I knew then what I know now, I
Yes.
don't know that I would be in this business at all.
Same
I
here.
I would definitely warn my younger self, just go do something else, right? It's too hard. It's
Yes.
too you don't know when your next paycheck is coming. Like you and so much of it is just luck, right? Like
Yes.
you have to have I do believe you have to have the talent as a
Of
baseline,
course. Of course.
but so much of it is dumb luck. Like case in point, I met Blair because I was at a holiday dinner with someone that he went to college with. That was it. That's the whole and we started working together and somehow Blair and I got together and but like just if I wasn't at that dinner, I wouldn't have met Blair. And now Blair and I have got the books. We did a movie that's not out yet that stars him and Sarah Silverman and Alfred Woodard, a very, very dark drama, which is fun
Great.
for, she's not usually in that realm, but she's great in it.
That's some drama.
Like I've got a whole aspect of my professional life now because I went to dinner with one night.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's great. That's how I'm saying. I went to the Magic Castle for my friend's anniversary one year, and I sat next to an assistant director on House, the TV show.
Ah,
It was the
yeah.
number one show in the country at the time. And she's like, "You should be on television." I was like, "You're so funny. I can get you on television." And literally, I sat next to her at the Magic Castle, and we yucked it up. I was on House 3 weeks later.
Wow. Wow. James, 1 second. I'm just going to show you this real quick.
Oh, I love it.
A quick shout out. You just mentioned it.
Oh my God! Yes.
My son, 13 years old, is currently the youngest official magician member at the Magic Castle. He performs every Saturday and Sunday. His name is Jackson McClean. If you're there, check him out. He performs every weekend.
Okay, you're my new best friend. That's that. We folks, we did not plan that. We did not plan. I mean, seriously, did not plan. I did not. I had no idea.
I didn't know you were going to bring it up.
No,
Listen, we got to have you out. We're going to get you some tickets. You're going to come on up.
Okay.
We'd love to have you out.
I'd love to. No, seriously, I'd love to. Oh my, that's so fun. I didn't. We didn't plan. But again, like we said, in business and life, this is just. And then, but they always say that luck favors the prepared.
True.
Meaning
True.
what you just said a second ago. Just always be ready. Just always doing your stuff. So when opportunity lands in your lap or comes your direction, you're ready.
Always be ready. It's funny because I'm doing that right now. We've been doing a lot of press for the book, and people are asking me like this is the moment when they're saying, well, what's next for you? Well, if I don't have that thing lined up for what's next, if I just said, oh, well, no, I'm just going to sort of see where the book goes, well, then I'm going to fall flat on my ass.
Right.
No, I've got it ready. Oh, what's next? I'll deliver it to you immediately, So
Yeah, you have to.
got to be prepared.
This book is amazing, folks. It's called Sins of Survivors, a Carter Brothers novel. It's behind me. I don't think but it's behind me, folks. You can see that right there. You go to Amazon and get it. You go to any bookstore and get it. It's there. Joe McClean and Blair Underwood. Check it out. Get it. Like I said again, I want to see it as a series. I want to see it as a TV series.
From your mouth.
I'm saying it out. I'm just manifesting. I'm saying it out loud. I can instantly your descriptions, how you write, because you also are a screenwriter, so I guess that helps. I see it.
Yeah.
I'm picturing these characters. I'm picturing the story. I'm picturing actors.
Oh, that's good to hear. I mean, listen, we're having conversations now, so please, I'm really hoping this hits your screen somewhere.
It's an important, not just that. It's an important story too. It's important, a different kind of story to tell about still part of our great country that has some soiled past, And we love good family dramas. We love good
Yes,
family
sir.
dramas. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Joe McClean, if they want to follow you anywhere or talk to you or anything, do you have a website or are you on social
Yeah,
media?
you can go to gingerbeardfilms.com is my website, and you can see my socials there. I'm mostly just look on Instagram. That's where I spend my social media time. But yeah,
Follow you. I'm sure I'll follow
yeah.
you. Ginger beer. We like gingers. We like gingers.
Gingers. Well, it's funny. You can't even really tell anymore. I'm more of a gray guy now.
Well,
But
yeah, I understand that one very much. But you heard from that one movie. You guys are black, apparently. Big joke about you saying. I love it. You're invited to cookout anyway. I know you are. You're invited to cookout. Joe McClean has his book. Again, Sin Survivors. You see it behind me. It's right. Get my head out the way. It's right there. Carl Brothers novel. Check it out. I'm James Lott Jr. Imaging Pages is on Facebook. I'm everywhere at James Lott Jr. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.